welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zero from TechDragon.info, and today I have a short video for you. I can't speak. That's one thing you can't buy, being able to speak. I have a short video for you guys on making videos, and this does not just go for YouTube, just in general. What do you need to make a video? Well, you need three things, and I haven't laid out on the screen here as you can see, but this is just a selection. This is not necessarily what you will use or want to use, but this is just a selection that I use, and I'll show you some settings and how to set them up. First off, you're gonna need a recorder. In this case, I'm using OBS. OBS is a very basically big one currently in the market. A lot of people are using it because its versatility is great. You can do a lot with it. And the fact that it's free helps, definitely helps. And it has very low overhead. Overhead is the amount of resources, so CPU memory, it takes in order to run it. And basically in my system, I don't even notice it running. It uses about 5% CPU to record at 60 FPS, so it really doesn't do anything on my system. So that's the first thing you need. The second thing, not necessarily fully necessary, and depends on what you're doing. If you're making a video, so let's jump back actually. This technically could be your camera as well. So any source of video. So it could be a camera, it could be a digital recording on your computer, which you would need OBS or something similar. You also have XSplit. Not quite sure if XSplit actually records your desktop or if it's purely for the streaming part of things. That I don't know. OBS also can do streaming, by the way. Little side note, but also recording. Then the second part, this is sort of something you could skip out on if you don't want to, but I prefer to do it, is Audacity, another free program. All of these are free, so that's always awesome and a good way to start. You can always jump into the premium paid ones later if you're doing this for your job or you're making money with it, or you need to go professional, then you always can, but these are great tools to get started with and you can use them for a very long time. So the second thing is Audacity, which is audio recording and being able to manipulate that audio. Not as important in some cases, but I do prefer to record my audio completely separate from the game, so you don't have issues where the game was too loud, your audio was too quiet, and you're muffled out, for instance. So keep that in mind. If you can at all, record your audio in a separate channel altogether from the rest of your audio, just to not have it mess up. And then the third option, or third thing you need, is something to render. You need something to compile your video, put it together, add your audio to it, render it, and then place it in the market. And the market can be YouTube, it can be your own website, it can be an email group to other people to show them. It can be anything, any distribution channel will work. But you need to be able to compile your video. So let's briefly go over these tools. And this is going to be trippy. This is going to be me recording myself while I'm recording. That's just not. So let's take a look. You can see here it's set up for 60 FPS. That's usually what I stream and record at. So let's take a quick look here. The most important tabs in here basically is output, audio, and video. So in the output tab, you have tabs here for streaming and recording. These are my settings. Now these are going to be a little bit different for anybody, different video cards and different CPUs and different memory loadouts work a little bit differently, but this for me is the perfect system. It gives great quality. I cannot complain about the quality. And for me at least, it provides almost pretty much no noticeable overhead. So for me, this is perfect. For both streaming and recording, I use the same settings as you can see here. So profile on high, I set my preset to very fast, which means it uses less CPU, but it also compresses less, so technically the output would be a little bit bigger, but the output size for my recording files is just fine. Usually they are around up to 3 gigs or something, so they're on the larger end of things, but that way you're applying less compression preemptively, and you'll just do that later in the next stage in your video editing. So I just shift that workload over so you don't stress out your computer while recording, which is the most important part. That needs to be fluid, that needs to work. You need to have no issues at that point. I'd rather have it take a little bit later in the back end, as it were, than up front and mess up with your recording. So that is one thing. Same for recording. You can set some more settings here, as you can see. You can basically see here, you can copy them, try them out, try and mess around with them. Higher bitrate is technically higher quality, not quite, but let's keep it simple for this video. VBR stands for variable bitrate. That means it will tweak down the bitrate if it's not necessary, which creates smaller files. This may cause while streaming, not issues, but your stream will detect like, oh, you're sending very few bits, there might be something wrong, but that's just variable bit rates and YouTube doesn't know how to deal with it, but that's fine. Basically, if very little details on your screen change, as currently is happening, because nothing on my screen is currently changing, so this bitrate is very low right now. Now if I start to do this, you know, a lot of things are changing on my screen and the bitrate will go up. So that's what that basically means. As for audio, you want to select 48 kHz, stereo, and then basically you have to set the rest up. My microphone is set up here, and the rest is fine. You can use push to talk if you want to clear up the audio when you're not recording, you know, when you're not doing things. Yeah, it's possible. That's up to your own preference. And then video, as you can see here, I have mine set to Linksys, which is basically the highest preset that they have for a downscale filter, and my FPS at 60 and full frame rate, or full frame size, I should say. Not sure if that was, no, that's not in here. That's just defined in here. So yeah, that's where you set your frame size. So those are the most important things basically out of OBS. Next up would be Audacity, and I have a little clip here. This is me just basically saying blah blah blah. And then one of the things I do at the end of every clip, I keep a little bit of silence, because as you can see here, this is not very clean. There's a lot of stuff going on. This is technically silence. So what you can do is you can go into effects, you can go into noise reduction. You can basically, as you can see here, you could tweak these settings a little bit. You could tweak this down a little bit, and this one maybe go down a little bit. You select get noise profile. It will seemingly do nothing. Now what you can do, shortcuts, this is for when you're a little bit more advanced, is Control R, which is redo. As you can see right here, repeat noise reduction, and that will basically apply it to everything. But we'll, for argument's sake, just go into the noise reduction, and instead of get noise profile, we'll just hit OK. And look at this, audio is fully cleaned up all of a sudden. All the bits and bobs here are completely gone, and you're left with clean audio between the actual sentences. So that's how you can clean up your audio. Be careful with it, because it can also distort your audio a bit, because you are technically removing this noise also from your actual speech. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing that I do use is compressor. Compressor is pretty awesome. These are pretty decent settings. I might need a little bit tweaking, but these are pretty good. Basically what this does is, let's say that you peaked out here. Let's enlarge this for a sec here. Let's say that this line here is an actual audio peak. Audio peaks are bad. You know when audio sounds cringe-worthy, when you go like, you know, it doesn't sound pleasant. It's sort of like, it just sounds wrong. That's basically audio peaking. Audio peaking is bad. It means that, I can actually demonstrate it. Okay, here you can see that audio is actually waves. Audio is not sharp peaks, it's waves. And what happens when you peak is actually the audio wave will go down and it gets flattened off. And that's what you call clipping. Again, not to go into too much details, but that's clipping. Clipping is bad. And basically what you can do with the compression is you take away the clipping and you sort of round off that audio curve. And it basically mellows out your audio is the best way to put it. There's no other way to put it really. It basically evens out or averages out your audio. So even when you're screaming one bit and you're whispering the other bit, it will basically, not quite, of course it's not that powerful, but you know, it will sort of tune down the screaming and tune up the whispering, and it will sort of come down to you're talking the same pitch throughout the whole thing. So that's what that does. Those are the two main filters that I use. Now there's other ones in there, a lot more, but let's not get into those. This is purely to, you know, see what's going on and to work with it. Now, third tool, Shotcut. I will put links to everything in the description. So let's give this a second to start up here. And there we go. This is Shotcuts. It's basically your video editing tool. Again, I'm not going to do a full tutorial. This is just to give you a hint of what's out there. And then if you guys want to, I can make separate videos on all three of these pieces of software and go a bit more in depth in how they work and show them off, that sort of stuff. Basically what you do is you import files into here, into your playlist. So you can drag them in, or you can just open file. You put them in here, you get a preview window over here, you got your timeline over here, we can add video and audio to it. So right now I got an audio clip, we can add a video track as well. I said video track, There we go, V1 for video, A1 for audio. You can rename them, and you can do all kinds of things. You can add filters, you can level off your audio, you do your transitions, all that stuff. That is Shotcut. Pretty good program, still in good development, a new release every single month, so that's pretty good. And the bugs get fixed reasonably okay. So that is the sort of holy trifecta of video editing, for me at least, for right now. I've been doing this for quite a while, and I've been looking into these tools for quite a while, and I have to say that these three are pretty solid. Shotcut being the weakest link out of the three. OBS and Audacity have never let me down pretty much. Shotcut from time to time has some bugs and some oddities, but overall, out of like the free available tools, I would say this is one of the better ones. I'm gonna maybe soon experiment with some other ones and take a look, and maybe might get a roundup video on them, but that's about it. So that's just what I wanted to share with you guys, just to give you an idea of how you can get started with video making and video editing, and what are the tools that you need. Now, of course, you need a proper microphone, or at least some microphone. If you're taking footage from a camera, then you may have used the microphone on the camera, which is not always great, but you might need to do some audio cleanup, so you might need to rip off the audio from the video clip and do some separate cleanup. And there's a lot more stuff that you can/will have to do potentially, but that's a whole different video. I just want to get this out, just to give you guys an idea what's out there, how to sort of use them in a quick kind of overview, and hopefully you enjoyed. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.